Are there any real serious organizations fighting against capitalism that we can join? I am from Vancouver, Canada, where most of local organizations focus on poverty alleviation, instead of fighting the root cause of the problem that is late-stage capitalism. Thanks. Unions. Apart from trying to get yourself elected to office and trying to move the needle from the inside, I'm not super familiar with Canadian political parties. But from what I can gather, the NDP might be your best bet if you want to join an established party. Sometimes the only way to actually fight capitalism effectively is to organize in your community. Providing relief for workers in need is exactly that. Pragmatically, the IWW has a long history of organizing unions but has been called a LARP in the modern era. I'm kind of in between those positions. What skills do you have? How can you apply them to help your fellow worker? No electoral politics are going to abolish the stranglehold the rich have on the ballot box. Building class consciousness is fighting capitalism because unions, protests, and class action are the things that will drive change. Helping people in poverty and putting a name behind the benefit will do nothing but increase the amount of people who have time, money, and resources to strike, to jeopardize their job to form a union. The best political action one can take is making the material lives of those locally close to them better and pointing out how this was caused by capitalism. There is no nationwide org doing what you're saying that I'm aware of. Unions. Unions are directly fighting capitalism. Mutual aid is the starting point. Build those mutual aid networks. We are back to the bad old days labor condition wise. We need to take inspiration from our brethren that fought for better conditions in the early 20th century. Unionizing is the single most impactful thing one can do. Only unions fight for the working class to prioritize material gains for them. Some of our brothers died for our ability to strike. It is the only power that can actually protect the working class. Cooperatives are the way to fight capitalism. We will need alternatives if we are to defund the late-stage capitalist institutions. Besides that, I am trying to organize a collection of open-source franchises. But that work is slow because I need to fund and run a business in order to show that it is viable. If you feel like starting a business and sharing information about it, then I would be very interested in hearing more. Most big cities have mutual aid groups, which are often a good point to begin making connections. Mutual aid groups emphasize building resilient structures of distribution and support, not just alleviating symptoms. Otherwise, labor unions have been the backbone of organization for working class interests. IWW has a modest presence in Vancouver. Making contact with a representative might lead you to various opportunities for participation and organization. As others are saying, join a union and learn how to best be a radical anti-capitalist from within your org. More often than not, the org itself has some work to do on getting itself back to the pro-labor militancy that was so important to unions when they took off but has since been replaced with acquiescence and legalism. With the writers' strike and UAW both going on, there's not a better time to start a general strike. IWW.org. A good union. Unions. Run for local office. What's the absolute solution? It is extremely ineffective and very efficient. Get everyone to stop consuming all the crap they don't actually need. The only way to fight capitalism is boycotting products that come from it. But most importantly, becoming independent from it food-wise. There's many communes and eco-villages trying to be self-sustainable. Unions and politics and whatever are still part of the game. They're not designed to fight it. They are designed to make you feel like there is a way to do it from the inside. There is not. There is no viable alternative. You have to find an economic system that would work beyond words on paper. Good luck. Blaming everything on capitalism is intellectually lazy. Meetings are held nightly in your local bar. Unions. You don't have an issue with capitalism, but with the lack of regulations and institutions to keep greedy corporations' individuals in check. We're better off with free markets than with anything else. The biggest entity would be called North Korea. On another scale, there are anarchists with communist ideologies. Then there are communist parties as well as social STS in government. Unions are not per se leftist. They can be a means to an end for turbo-capitalists. A calculated loss. At best, they are a defense mechanism within the capitalist system. X200B. Cooperative movements. Eco-socialist movements and perhaps indigenous rights movements. 2. You can work for any agency of your government or join the board or C-suite of any multinational. And rest confident and secure you are working against capitalism and for corporatism. Make your own meetup group, I'm sure it will be successful. Democratic Socialists of America. So you think socialism, communism, dictatorship is better? I found a subreddit you can post to in order to feel like you're doing something. Lol. No. Because the only alternatives are pipe dreams. Go protest Wall Street or whatever. Bang your drums and wear Che Guevara t-shirts. It'll do literally nothing because most people don't want to live under an anti-capitalist society. They just want to be fairly compensated for the value they bring to their job. In a society where no one is rich, everyone is poor. And before anyone gets any dumb ideas about what I'm saying, I'm a union steward. I'm probably doing more to fight for workers than most of the people in this sub. At this point it's going to be a secret society as anything overt triggers the immune response of our abusive society. DM me if you want to join my secret, definitely very serious society. This is your first test. Is it really fighting capitalism? Or removing the corrupt parts of it and making sure the crooks can't pay the politicians? Why are you against capitalism? Because of work? What is wrong with capitalism anyways? And who told you life was going to be fair? The U.S. Congress. Don't become a cappy terrorist, not worth hurting others. Bernie Sanders. I think Russia and the USSR had a pretty good run at it. But seriously, a union is your best hope for fair wages work rules. But they're not a silver bullet. CCP. Go to China. I've joined the Chinese youth in the movement called Let It Rot. Not really a fight against capitalism. But hey, it can work against it too. Why fight against the best system when it's yours to exploit? Perhaps move to China? No, because money is needed, and to get money you need capitalism. Aren't there any communistic parties you can join? I see so many people say join a union. But I'm a manager. I've tried in the past to form a union. But I was told I can't even encourage those under me to form as it may spoil the formation? Don't know if I'm wording that right. I've brought it up loudly and proudly that I support union members. But nobody has taken the initiative yet in my company agency. I live in a very pro-union area. Any other suggestions? Anarchist groups used to be a dime a dozen in Vancouver, anti-capitalist to the bone. International Marxist tendency. Forget peak oil, this is peak hopium. Socialist parties. I want to start a hedge fund with the goal of destroying other hedge funds and then when they're dead distributing the money to everyone like Robin Hood. Maybe attack, if they have a Vancouver area group.